We didn't really talk about the PSR, which I think that's an important thing for epistemology is understanding, the role of. I mean, we talked about it a little bit, I guess, when we talked about abduction, because abduction is about explanation, and that's what the PSR is about. The PSR, for anyone who doesn't know, is the principle of sufficient reason, basically the principle that for anything that happens, that exists, or is true, there has to be some sufficient reason why it happens, why it exists, or why it is the case.
Mm.
And I think the best way of expressing sort of not only just what role does the PSR play, but what is the PSR in that sense is I would think of it as actually this seed intuition of explanation. Like the PSR is the reason that we look for an explanation. If we didn't have a commitment to the PSR, why bother? If you're not convinced that there are reasons, what's the point of trying to figure them out? You know what I mean?
Right. And it's like you can't reason out of the PSR because you're trying to find a sufficient reason why the PSR isn't the best thing to use, which is just nonsense.
Yeah, it's just collapses in on itself. And so another way I would think of PSR is as the prototype of causality. I think causality is like a special case of the PSR. Causality is like the PSR in the context of space and time and events that occur in space and time. So the PSR is basically the thought that for an effect to occur, there has to be a reason. We call that a cause. Cause is basically how we see the PSR play out in practice in everyday life is as causes and effects. And what role does it play? I think the PSR is about dispelling mystery. So obviously we have a desire to, answer questions we pose to ourselves and that others pose to us. And those questions concern sort of mysterious aspects of the world. And the goal of any kind of sufficient reason is to resolve that mystery so that you can't keep asking, well, why, how, the kind of questions. And also to solve puzzles, which I think is, a sort of concomitant idea, because obviously puzzles are a kind of mystery. But puzzles, I think, are more specific. Mystery is general. Puzzles are quite specific. And puzzles typically arise from already having an established paradigm for looking at the world through. So on this paradigm, how come the world as we observe it departs from what the paradigm would sort of expect, what the expectations we might project from that paradigm.